Topical and atypical. Unfiltered and independent. 100% authentic and intelligent.
Welcome to our Things I Learned This Week segment of Views from AmandaLand. This goes down every Friday where I share with you guys things I learned this week. Amanda, why are you sharing with us things you learned this week? You know why? Because sharing is caring. And I just feel like we really need to bring back learning as something that we're doing all the time, and also something that's like super fly. So what I would love for you all to do is to drop into the comments anything that you have learned this week. How about that? I think that would be super duper dope, super duper special, and also something that ends up adding to our community building. Okay, so things you learned this week. Now let me talk about some things that I have learned this week. All right, so let's start. By the way, let me also add, like, things I learned this week is random. It could be history, it could be nature, it could be politics, it could be anything. So that's how it's going to go. All right, so let's start. First off, I learned this week that apparently there's all these US states with smaller populations than Los Angeles County. Not California, not even like, because like LA is one of these places where essentially you have like LA proper and then like the LA, like official LA. So like, for instance, I lived in LA proper, but then I also lived in the Valley. I lived in Calabasas. And like, when you tell people where you live, it's just easier to just say like, I live in LA, but you don't live in LA County. LA County has a bigger population than all of these other states, which also is why when we talk about the Electoral College, and just the way that voting is disseminated throughout the nation, the application of 2 senators to each state, as well as representatives, you just start to wonder, like, this don't really make too much sense in terms of how it's equally distributed. But I thought this map really like illuminated it in a real way, just how disparate the numbers are. So yeah. LA County. I also left LA, and I'm so glad, even like looking at this map, I'm like, oh my God, so many people in one place about very little. Okay, so the other thing is I learned that this is the biggest organism in the world, and it's actually in our nation. Yeah, this is a mushroom, and I'm just blown away by the things that we don't know, okay? So there's a giant mushroom. It's the largest living organism on Earth. It's in this country, and it's at the Malheur National Forest in Oregon. And this thing is called a honey fungus, and it is 3.5 square miles wide. Now you're thinking like, oh, is like this thing 3.5 miles wide? Because that doesn't look like that. No. However, underground, its roots, aka the mycelium, span 3.5 miles. Now, the mycelium are basically like the roots that go underground in a forest, and the mycelium is what connects all of the organisms in the forest together. And so this mushroom's mycelium span 3.5 square miles. Did I say miles or square feet? I think I said miles. Square miles. That's incredible. Now, I don't know if you all saw that HBO show. What was it called? You know what I'm talking about. But basically, it's the one that's based on the video game where the cordyceps mushroom takes over people the way that it already takes over insects. And essentially what it does with insects is it invades their body, their minds, and then it starts growing out of their bodies, and it controls their minds. And so in the video game, they have this basically in the future, like the cordyceps mushroom has evolved to be able to do that with humans. And that's essentially how the zombies happen. So who knows if that's going to happen, but that's a big ass mushroom. And I feel like I should have known that we had a big ass mushroom just like chilling right here in the United States, but I did not. Now, I thought this was also interesting. This is another little natural science knowledge for you. In Poland, they use clams to measure water purity. So in Warsaw, which is the capital city of Poland, if the water gets too toxic, the clams close. And you see how it's got this little thing on the top of it? That little thing right there on the top of it. Once it closes, it triggers analysis that can immediately shut off the water supply. Who says that humans and nature can't work together? So that's fascinating to me. And also it's like, who not only came up with this, figured it out, but also got the funding? Because it's like bureaucracy gets in the way so often of things that can actually make sense, like being useful. So whoever it is that suggested this and managed to get it pushed through, kudos to you. Kudos to you, because I know in the United States, they'd be like, clams, what are we, SpongeBob? Yeah. So those are our things that I've learned this week. I would love for you all to drop your things that you learned this week in the chat so we can teach each other. This is a community space. So drop your things I learned in the chat. And remember, we got Views from AmandaLand popping off every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on Amanda Seales TV.